Few men in professional basketball are more controversial than Charles Barkley, but he was the cooler head in the room when he admonished Draymond Green. His teammate punched Jordan Poole earlier this month during practice, and the event has been all the rage in the tabloids ever since. Let's look at what happened and the recent developments within the case. First up, what does Barkley have to say about it? In a very refreshing turn of events, Barkley is not the center of a controversy for once. His extensive experience in crossing lines with fans, journalists, and teammates makes him the perfect person to comment on everything that's happened. It was pretty heartwarming how Barkley made jokes at the expense of his career in an attempt to take some of the heat off Green. As the resident up here, I will tell Draymond this. Number one, he was 100% wrong. You can't go around punching coworkers, was Barkley's response. And considering that all 6 of his arrests have come from attacking fans, not teammates, those are words he tries to live by himself too. All jokes aside though, Barkley's hot-headed career can be a great learning opportunity for the next generation of players. Barkley's lighthearted admonishment seemed to be the balance that many members of the Golden State Warriors franchise were looking for. General manager Bob Myers also seemed eager to condemn the situation, promised to do better, and go back to focusing on basketball. This is professional sports, said Myers. These things happen. Nobody likes it. We don't condone it, but it happened. Now for when, where, and why was Jordan Poole punched? Shams Charania from The Athletics broke the news about Draymond's assault. She gave a detailed account of how Green walked right up to his smaller teammate, seemingly threatening him, and when Poole pushed him away, Draymond punched him. A little while later, TMZ got a hold of the video. It was much more vicious than everyone had initially thought. While we couldn't hear what they were saying to each other, it was Green who invaded Poole's space first. And it wasn't just a punch. It was an absolute haymaker that would have put Poole on the floor had Draymond not lunged at him and pinned him to the wall. We don't think this was a spur-of-the-moment thing either. Tensions between the two had been brewing for the past few months, with both of them hoping for contract extensions. Poole also looked stronger than Draymond this season, even if it was by a small margin, and maybe the frustration of not getting a max contract just got to the forward. Additionally, the consequences Green's going to be facing. The Golden State Warriors haven't had that championship aura these past weeks. The entire team has been looking deflated because of the internal turmoil they're going through. The division between the players stems from Draymond's punishment or lack thereof. The power forward was given a week-long timeout from team practice, not even a one-game suspension. Jordan Bell was benched for longer just for charging a scented candle to Mike Brown's hotel bill. This isn't an isolated incident in basketball. Players tend to punch each other from time to time, and the NBA has suspended players for up to 8 games. Okay, so he's an important star player, needs to play and all that. But there must be something else to his punishment, right? Well, they fined him, but we all know that NBA fines aren't even a slap on the wrist for multimillionaires like Green. We don't even know if Green's been issued mandatory counseling because the forward refuses to speak to reporters. Next up, what does Draymond have to say for himself? Green may have been avoiding journalists after this entire debacle, but he's had to unmute himself and make a statement. We know he's professionally apologetic towards Poole, but there's so much attention towards the player that everything he says will be scrutinized. Amidst all that though, Draymond released a confession video, addressing his surprisingly genuine actions. The dim lighting and black backdrop set the mood for how candid Green's admissions were. He was apologetic about the entire situation, of course, but his reactions to the amount of traction this entire episode received were the focal point. I never really knew how much it blew up. I was at home with my children, said the former Player of the Year, citing the experience as one of the worst moments of his life. The entire community was buzzing after the unexpectedly heartfelt rant, fans and teammates alike, but it was Charles Barkley whose comments stood out amidst the cacophony. Finally, is Poole holding a grudge? It's been a long few weeks for JP, and it was 10 days before we heard anything from the young point guard about the matter. What we heard was amicable and measured, and we didn't expect a scathing public rant against a senior teammate from someone in Poole's position. He said that Green was apologetic and professional and that both were determined to not let this affect the team or their performances. We're here to play basketball, and everyone on our team and in the locker room knows what it takes to win a championship, said the 23-year-old, ending his statement. However, Poole made the comments right after the team offered him a 4-year contract worth $123 million, with the potential for $17 million more. Kinda makes you understand why JP was so cool about the entire situation. Barkley's most controversial moments. Starting with number 5, spitting on a girl in the crowd. Back in 1991, 2021, when the infamous Barkley was playing for the Philadelphia 76ers, a game against the New Jersey Nets took a dark turn when a fan began provoking Barkley's team. The individual was repeatedly jeering at the players, yelling racial slurs and curse words until the fourth quarter. At that point, Charles dealt with the situation himself. He tried to spit on the offender and, quite honestly, had the spit found its mark, then this might have not been as bad of a memory. Instead, the aim was slightly off as the spit missed its target and landed on an innocent girl in the stands. Barkley was only sorry that he missed, though, and was promptly suspended and given a $10,000 fine. Coming up number 4, drinking and driving. What is it about millionaire sports players driving their supercars intoxicated? Barkley decided to take the wheel drunk on New Year's Eve back in 2009. This was the same day he'd run a traffic light, and the offense landed him in jail for 5 days. It certainly didn't help that when the officer questions the basketball player, he said he was in a rush. For what? To pick up a hot girl around the corner and get a Barkley's been in more than his fair share of spats and controversies throughout his career, but the danger drunk driving has on innocent bystanders has made the incident a particularly dark spot on the star's career. Moving on to number 3, threatening a reporter. The 1993 MVP is a pretty outspoken individual and doesn't shy away from talking about his political stances. This specific incident came in 2019, long after the end of Barkley's career as a player, and Barkley didn't end up hitting someone this time. Axios reporter Alexi McCann was in the same bar in Atlanta as Charles when someone accused her of misreporting Charles's political standings. In what he later said was meant to be a joke, Charles said that he would have hit Alexi if he hit women. The reporter took to Twitter to talk about the threat, and Charles promptly apologized. Next at number 2, standing against Breonna Taylor. This is perhaps the most outlandish thing Charles has done, and it came very recently in 2020. A young woman in her mid-20s was shot to death by cops in Louisville in March. The act of police brutality was considered yet another racially motivated hate crime, and the perpetrators got away with a mild slap on the wrist. This incident came only a couple of months before the world-famous George Floyd murder case, and was one of many such incidents that were raising tensions in the United States for quite some time. Being a member of the discriminated community himself, the enraged public was expecting Barkley to use his platform to protest against injustice. However, Charles himself became the subject of public outrage when he seemingly sided with the court's decision to exonerate the policeman. His stance wasn't directly in favor of the brutality, but he believed there were much worse cases of race-motivated hate crimes in the country that went unchecked, and we'd do better to focus on them first. Finally, at number 1, throwing a man out of a bar window. This one has got to be the universal favorite, not just because of the audacity of the act itself, but the way the Hall of Famer responded. In 1997, Charles added aggravated battery and resisting arrest to his list of offenses when he tossed a man through the glass window of an Ohio bar. Why, do you ask? The man was bothering him. In words that explain Charles's character better than anything else, he said that he would do it again if someone bothered him. The former MVP was arrested following the beatdown and was bailed out of jail by friend and Houston guard Clyde Drexler. Thanks for watching. Did we miss out on your favorite Charles Barkley controversy? And do you think Draymond Green deserves harsher consequences for his action? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos.